The hum of the servers filled the cramped room, a constant, low drone that mingled with the rhythmic tapping of Maya Lin's fingers against the keyboard. It was a sound that had become both familiar and maddeningly persistent over the past few days. The blue light of the monitors cast shifting shadows across her face, highlighting the strain in her eyes. She leaned closer, squinting at the streams of code cascading down the screen. Something wasn't right. Patterns seen before now, appeared distorted, layered with subtle manipulations that suggested far more than simple tampering. Maya's breath caught as she traced the digital fingerprints, fragments of voice, data warped and reassembled with ruthless precision. This wasn't just an isolated hack. It was a sprawling operation, a carefully orchestrated symphony of deception that reached into the highest echelons of power. Her fingers hesitated, then resumed their frantic pace, pulling thread after thread from the tangled web. "Alex," she whispered into the encrypted line, her voice barely audible over the static. On the other end, Alex Mercer's voice was rough, edged with exhaustion and distrust. "What have you got?" "It's bigger than we thought," Maya replied, eyes still glued to the screen. "There's a pattern here, voice data altered at multiple points, linked to operatives we didn't suspect. This isn't just about framing you. It's a conspiracy to destabilize everything." The line went quiet for a moment, the weight of her words settling like a stone in a still pond. Alex ran a hand through his unshaven beard, his intense eyes darkening. "This confirms what I feared. But if it's that deep, who can we trust?" Maya bit her lip, the familiar flicker of fear surfacing. The government was watching. Voices could be hijacked and twisted, and alliances shattered with a single whispered lie. Yet, despite the chilling risks, she knew what she had to do. "I'm with you, Alex. Whatever it takes," she said, voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. Their meeting place was a nondescript safe house on the edge of the city, shielded from prying eyes and listening devices. The air was thick with tension, illuminated only by the flickering lamp that cast long shadows on the peeling wallpaper. Alex sat across from Maya, his posture rigid, muscles coiled like a predator ready to strike or flee. His gaze flicked repeatedly to the door, as if expecting it to burst open at any moment. "Have you heard from Holt?" Alex asked, referring to the detective whose allegiance remained uncertain. "No," Maya replied, shaking her head. "But I'm working on a way to reach him without raising alarms." Alex's jaw clenched. "We can't afford mistakes. Every whisper might be a trap." The silence between them was heavy, punctuated only by the faint buzz of the old fluorescent bulb overhead. Both understood the fragile nature of their alliance. Paranoia gnawed at Alex's mind. Was Maya truly on his side, or just another pawn in the game? Suddenly, a sharp, deliberate knock fractured the stillness. Alex's hand went instinctively to the pistol at his side. Maya's breath hitched. Every muscle in their bodies tensed, eyes darting toward the door. "Who is it?" Alex called, voice low but firm. No answer came, only the echo of the knock again, more insistent this time. Maya exchanged a glance with Alex, her heart pounding. The safe house, once a refuge, now felt like a cage. The danger wasn't just theoretical anymore, it was closing in. "Stay here," Alex whispered, edging toward the door. He peered through the peephole, muscles taut with readiness. Outside, the dim hallway was deserted. No sign of anyone. Yet the threat lingered, tangible and suffocating. Alex exhaled slowly, stepping back. False alarm, for now. Maya nodded, but the tremor in her hands betrayed her calm facade. The conspiracy was tightening its grip, and trust was becoming a luxury they could ill afford. "We need to move faster," Maya urged. "I've found a way to trace the voice manipulations back to their source, but it's risky if they detect us." Alex cut her off. "We don't have a choice. We expose them or we disappear." Their alliance, fragile but vital, had just been forged in the crucible of fear and determination. As Maya returned to her screens and Alex prepared for the battles ahead, the echo of manipulated voices haunted the room, a chilling reminder that in this war, trust was the most dangerous vulnerability of all. Outside, the city carried on, oblivious to the silent war waged in its shadows where every voice was a weapon, every whisper a threat, and every ally a potential betrayer. The game had changed, and so had Alex Mercer. He was no longer just a man fighting for his name. He was a man fighting to reclaim the very essence of who he was. But in the murky depths of paranoia and deceit, the question remained, could he trust anyone, even the one person who had risked everything to stand by him? The answer would come soon enough, but for now, they had to survive the night. The air in the safe house was thick with the stale scent of cold coffee and burning circuits. Flickering fluorescent lights hummed overhead as Alex Mercer sat hunched in front of a bank of monitors, eyes scanning streams of data with a relentless focus. The room was cramped, littered with cables, hardware components, and the faint echo of distant sirens from the city beyond. He wasn't alone. Across from him sat Jared Cole, his former teammate and longtime colleague from their days in the elite security unit. Jared's expression was unreadable, a mixture of suspicion and reluctance as his gaze flicked between the screens and Alex's tense face. "I don't like this," Jared muttered, voice low and cautious. "You come back after everything, asking for help, and I'm supposed to just jump in." His fingers drummed nervously on the keyboard. Alex nodded, understanding the doubt that hung heavy in the air. "I wouldn't be here if I wasn't desperate. They're using our own systems against us, manipulating voices, fabricating evidence. I need you because you know the protocols better than anyone." Jared's eyes narrowed. "Protocols don't mean much when someone's rewriting the rules behind your back. I saw what they did to you, framed you with your own voice. It's not just a tech problem anymore. It's war." He leaned closer to the monitor, pulling up a series of encrypted voice logs. Alex recognized the samples immediately altered, tampered, voices stretched and twisted like a distorted melody. There was his own voice, but warped, confessing to crimes he never committed. The cold realization burned deep. How do we fight something that can mimic us so perfectly? Jared's voice cracked with frustration. Alex took a deep breath, the weight of years of training and experience settling over him like armor. "We start by understanding how they got in. We trace the breaches, identify the weak points. If we can isolate their entry, we can stop them." Hours passed as they dug through layers of code and security logs, cross-referencing data and mapping out the extent of the infiltration. The more they uncovered, the more the picture of a sprawling, sophisticated network emerged, a covert operation that reached into the highest levels of government and intelligence. Voice hacking wasn't just a tool. It was a weapon designed to destabilize, to erode trust at its core. Suddenly, the monitors flickered and went dark. The safe house was plunged into silence and shadow. Alex's heart raced. "Power's out," Jared said grimly. "Could be a blackout or someone trying to cut us off." In the darkness, their whispered voices filled the room, a fragile lifeline amid the uncertainty. Plans were exchanged in hushed tones, contingency measures laid out with precision born of years in the field. Every second felt like a countdown, every shadow a potential threat. When the emergency lights flickered on, casting an eerie red glow across the room, Jared's posture shifted. He looked at Alex, eyes searching for a sign of vulnerability or deceit. Instead, he found determination. "All right," Jared said finally, his voice steady but cautious. "I'm in, but we do this my way, careful, quiet. And if this goes south, we cover each other's tracks." Alex extended a hand, the gesture simple but loaded with significance. Together, they clasped hands, an unspoken pact forged in the darkness. The battle ahead was uncertain, fraught with danger and deception, but for the first time in weeks, Alex felt a sliver of hope. They had entered the network's shadowy core. Now they had to survive it. As dawn crept through the grimy windows, the city outside stirred, unaware of the silent war unfolding within its depths. Voices could be weaponized, identities stolen, but here, in the tangled wires and digital shadows, two men prepared to fight back for truth, for justice, for their very selves. Alex glanced at Jared, a flicker of a smile breaking through his exhaustion. "Let's find out who pulled the strings." Jared nodded, fingers already flying over the keyboard. One step closer to tearing down their echo chamber. But as the screens came alive with new data, Alex couldn't shake the gnawing question. Was trust truly possible in a world where even the sound of your own voice could betray you? The narrow door creaked as Alex Mercer stepped into the dimly lit workshop. A cramped space cluttered with tangled cables, humming servers, and an array of voice modulation devices strewn across scattered tables. The faint scent of solder and machine oil mingled with the stale air, punctuating the room's mechanical pulse. Lena Ortiz looked up from a screen filled with complex waveforms, her sharp, dark eyes meeting his with a mixture of caution and recognition. "You're late," she said, her voice steady but tinged with a hint of urgency. "Time isn't exactly on our side, is it?" Alex gave a wry smile, rubbing the stubble on his chin. "Could say the same for you." She gestured toward a cluttered workstation, where a setup of microphones and speakers awaited. "I've been running simulations all night. You wanted to understand what you're really up against." He nodded, stepping closer. "I need to know how they're using my voice." "What makes it so convincing?" Lena tapped a few keys, and the screen flickered to life, displaying a spectrogram of a voice recording. "This is a recording of you," she said, "but it's layered, complex. What you hear as a single voice is actually multiple synthetic tracks combined to mimic every inflection, hesitation, even breath pattern." Alex leaned in, eyebrows knitting together. Suddenly, the speakers crackled, and his voice echoed through the room, crisp, clear, yet saying words he didn't recognize. "I authorized the transfer of classified data to unauthorized entities." His stomach clenched. "That's not me." "No," Lena agreed, eyes flicking to the data scrolling on the monitors. "It's a forgery, but a damn near perfect one. They can splice your voice, alter emotional tone, even fabricate entire conversations. It's sophisticated enough to fool the best voice recognition systems and anyone hearing it without forensic analysis." The room seemed to shrink around him as the weight of that realization sank in. "So, the recordings used to frame me." "Exactly." Lena pulled up a series of digital fingerprints, cryptic traces left behind in the code by Evelyn Cross's hackers. "See these anomalies? They're subtle. A slight timing shift here, an artificial noise pattern there. Only someone with deep knowledge of voice tech would know what to look for." Alex's fingers drummed on the table. "You think we can trace them?" She nodded. "Maybe. But Evelyn's network is layered, decentralized. they cover their tracks well. Still, every system leaves a footprint. We just have to find the right ones. They spent hours poring over data logs, Lena explaining the nuances of voice synthesis. The way artificial intelligence could clone voices down to emotional timbre, and how such technology could be weaponized for manipulation and control. Alex absorbed the information, each revelation a double-edged sword, empowering yet terrifying. "I always thought voice was the most personal thing," Alex murmured during a brief pause. "Now it feels like the most dangerous." Lena gave a tight smile. "In this world, trust is a fragile commodity. Your voice can be your greatest weapon or your undoing." As the night deepened, Lena handed Alex a secure drive containing encrypted tools and data crucial for detecting voice manipulations. "This could give you an edge," she said, "but be careful. Once you start poking at the nest, it won't sit quietly." Alex pocketed the drive, a cold resolve settling over him. "I'm not done yet." Outside, the distant wail of sirens echoed faintly, mingling with the hum of the city's restless night. It was a reminder the game had only just begun, and the stakes had never been higher. The glow from the monitors cast long shadows across the cramped room, the hum of servers and the occasional beep punctuating the silence. Alex sat rigid in his chair, eyes fixed on the chaotic patterns of data streaming before him. Beside him, Maya's fingers danced across the keyboard, pulling threads of code and voice samples from the tangled web of digital footprints left behind by the conspiracy. The air was thick with tension, the scent of stale coffee mingling with the metallic tang of electronics. "Look at this," Maya murmured, zooming in on an audio waveform that at first glance seemed corrupted beyond recognition. But beneath the static, a faint, insidious message emerged, buried beneath layers of manipulation. Her voice was low but urgent, her eyes reflecting the flickering screen. "They're using deep layering techniques to mask propaganda within innocuous voice samples. It's designed to destabilize public perception, to erode trust in the government by sowing doubt with voices people think they know." Alex leaned in closer, the weight of her words settling in his chest like a stone. He recognized the tone instantly. The cold, calculated cadence was a signature of Evelyn Cross's network. "So it's not just me," he said grimly. "This goes far beyond framing one man." "Far," Maya agreed. "This is a coordinated assault on information itself. They're weaponizing voice, turning it into a tool of chaos." Their investigation took on a fevered pace as they traced digital breadcrumbs across encrypted servers and shadowy forums. Each discovery deepened the complexity of the web they sought to unravel. Voice samples twisted and reassembled. Messages crafted to mimic trusted figures, but twisted to spread fear and confusion. Alex replayed one particularly chilling clip. His own voice, distorted but unmistakably his, broadcasting inflammatory statements designed to ignite unrest. The violation was visceral, each word a dagger aimed at his very identity. He swallowed hard, the paranoia that had been simmering now boiling over. "They're everywhere," he whispered, "using me like a ghost to haunt the system." Maya's eyes met his, steady and determined. "We can fight this. We have to. But it means going deeper into their network, risking exposure." The risk was clear. Evelyn Cross wasn't just a distant shadow. She was a puppeteer pulling strings from the darkness, backed by a covert network of hackers and disinformation agents. Their ideological mission was as dangerous as it was precise: to destabilize the government and rewrite the narrative through the manipulation of voice and truth. Hours blurred into the early morning as they pieced together fragments of code and distorted audio. The room grew colder, the outside world slipping away until only the glow of the screens and the echo of manipulated voices remained. Every revelation chipped away at Alex's sense of reality, the lines between ally and enemy, truth and deception, blurring into an indistinguishable haze. Yet, amid the chaos, a grim resolve took root. They had found the thread that could unravel the conspiracy. The network was vast, but not impenetrable, and in that knowledge lay the first glimmer of hope. As dawn crept through the blinds, Alex and Maya exchanged a look heavy with unspoken understanding. The battle ahead would test everything they had, their skills, their trust, their very identities, but they would face it together. For if voices could be twisted to destroy, then voices could also be wielded to fight back. And so, with the first light of day casting new shadows across the walls, they prepared to step deeper into the web of deceit, knowing that every sound, every whisper, could be their undoing or their salvation. The room fell silent once more, but the echo of their discovery reverberated in the air, a haunting reminder that in this new world, the truth was never simply spoken, it was fought for, one voice at a time. The sterile white walls of the government interrogation room seemed to close in on me, the faint hum of the overhead fluorescent lights drilling into my skull. I sat rigidly on the metal chair, hands clenched tightly on my lap, trying to steady the storm of thoughts swirling in my mind. Every so often, the faintest echo of my own voice, warped, manipulated, crept into my consciousness. A phantom reminder of the weapon turned against me. The mirror-like glass reflected my tired, unshaven face back at me, fractured and distorted by the flickering light. The door opened with a soft click, and Agent Simmons entered with an unhurried, measured step. He was the embodiment of controlled authority, impeccably dressed in a tailored suit that matched the cold precision of his gaze. His eyes, dark and unreadable, locked onto mine with a calm that felt more like a calculated assessment than a gesture of concern. "Alex," he began, his voice smooth and even, "you need to understand the gravity of the situation you're in." I swallowed hard, trying to read between his words, searching for some shred of honesty or alliance. But Simmons was a master of subtlety. Each sentence carefully crafted to convey cooperation while masking a deeper threat. "There are forces at play here beyond your comprehension," he continued. "Your case is drawing unwanted attention, and certain interests are pushing to contain the fallout." I narrowed my eyes. "So that's it. I'm a liability now." He inclined his head slightly, a faint, almost imperceptible smile playing at the corner of his mouth. "Not a liability, Alex. A variable we must control." The implication was clear. The agency I once trusted was turning its back on me. The betrayal stung sharper than any physical blow. Later that evening, the city was a blur of neon lights and distant sirens, but none of it penetrated the tight bubble of anxiety I carried. I met Maya just outside the agency's imposing glass facade. Her face was etched with worry, eyes darting around as if expecting shadows to leap from the walls. "They're tightening the noose," she whispered urgently. "Simmons isn't just a messenger, he's part of the problem. Political pressure is mounting. They want this wrapped up fast, and they don't care who gets crushed in the process." Her words confirmed my worst fears. The lines between friend and foe were blurring, and every ally risked becoming an enemy. Yet Maya's loyalty was a fragile beacon in the growing darkness, her pragmatic support grounding me when I teetered on the edge. Back in the solitude of my apartment, I replayed the surveillance footage Maya had procured. The grainy images flickered on the screen, revealing faces I once trusted moving in calculated patterns. Each frame was a puzzle piece to a larger conspiracy, but the picture it formed was one of isolation. The voices I heard, the ones I once believed were mine, were now tools wielded by unseen hands. I leaned back, the weight of betrayal pressing down hard. The agency I served had become a labyrinth of suspicion and deceit. If I was to survive, I had to cross lines I never thought I'd approach, operating outside the official channels, trusting only those who had proven their loyalty through fire. My reflection in the darkened window was no longer just mine. It was the echo of a man fighting to reclaim his identity in a world where voices could kill and trust was the rarest commodity of all.